Welcome to the Dr. R Craft CSS Image Sprites tutorial. An image sprite is an image that's cropped out from a collection of images. Since websites with many images commonly have long loading times and they send multiple server requests, it may be a wise move to use image sprites instead, especially since they save the user's bandwidth. Now we will be using this image, which contains 3 navigation images. Now you can see in this example we have 2 images on our page, a home image and a previous arrow. And as you can see, this image, img_trans.gif, is just a 1x1 pixel transparent image because the source attribute can't be empty. However, to find the background image, we use the background property on both the home and the previous arrow, with the same background image but different positions. As you can see, the home image is positioned 0 pixels from the left and 0 pixels from the top, while the previous arrow is positioned 47 pixels from the left and 0 pixels from the top. Now for reference, I have added the img_nav_sprites.gif so we can see exactly what we're working with. So the reason why this is 47 pixels from the left, the previous arrow, is 46 pixels of width for the home image plus 1 extra pixel for the line divider. With everything set in the order now, let's create a new image for the next arrow. So the next arrow is going to have the same dimensions as the previous arrow, except it's going to be positioned 91 pixels from the left, like this. And so the reason why we chose 91 pixels is because the previous arrow starts at 47 pixels, and then we add 43 to that, and that gives us 90, and then add 1 pixel for the line divider, and that's how we get 91 pixels. So we've now seen the easiest way to use image sprites, but now let's learn how to create a navigation list using these images. So for this you're going to use an unordered list, mainly because list items can actually be links and they also can have background images. And now it just needs to be styled a little bit differently. And so now I'm going to add an ID to this unordered list, nav list, short for navigation list for these links. And I'm just going to style it with position relative so that the list items can be absolute positioned. And so first we do margin 0, padding 0, and then the list style none. And now this is what it looks like. And then we want to set position absolute. You see all the elements now overlap, but we're going to position each one individually later. And 0 pixels from the top. Now let's style both the list items and the links inside of them. Height 44 pixels and display as block elements. And so now let's style each of these links individually. Now we can remove the height property for all of these, as we already specified these here. And so for the home image, we set it to be 0 pixels from the left. And for the previous arrow, I set to be 63 pixels from the left. And finally the next arrow, which could be 129 pixels from the left. And now, as you can see, we have a fully functioning navigation list. However, I would like to add a hover effect for these links. So we're going to use a new image sprite, which was created specifically for hover effects. Now let's take a look at it. As you can see, it shows the same 3 images as before, but 3 additional images for hover effects. And so now, let's make all of these links have the background image of this. Now, as you can see, it works just like before, but we only need to add a few lines of code for the hover effect to work. Now let's start with home image. So now we can remove the width and left properties, since they'll remain unchanged. But we have to edit the selector a little bit. And so now it's the exact same position, except it's just moved 45 pixels downward. And you can see now there's a hover effect for the home image. So let's do this for the previous arrow. Just 45 pixels downward. Now this has the hover effect as well. And finally the next arrow. Again, 45 pixels down. And now we have a navigation list that shows 6 different images, all from this single image. And because they're part of the same image, there will be no loading delay when a user hovers over one of these images. This concludes the CSS Image Sprites tutorial. Thank you very much for watching.